There we go. It is with great pleasure to introduce Ed Rigsbee. I have known Ed, well, since I've joined NSA-LA. Well, they didn't really know him very well in the beginning. And, my grandmother had a word. For those of us who are Jewish will know this word. It's a mensch. And when I asked my grandmother what a mensch was when I was probably 10 or 12 years old, she said, a mensch is a person, right? It's a solid human being. And I can't think of a better word to describe Ed Rigsbee. He gives. I don't know any other person in the world who could take hanging out, smoking cigars, and turn that into an organization that has donated close to $1 million to charities. And if that isn't the definition of a mensch, I don't know what is. He's a certified speaking professional. He's an author. He works with associations, helping them get the return on investment for their members. And he is a giver extraordinaire. Ed asked me to say, I said, what do you want me to say for an introduction? He said, just say something nice, which is a challenge, not because there's not anything to say, but because there's so much to say. I could probably take the full 2-hour program just throwing accolades at Ed. I want to be Ed when I grow up. I think I'll just leave it with that and turn it over to Ed Rigsbee. I'm going to stop sharing, and Ed, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So I'm guessing I should share my screen because probably you guys want to hear less about me and more about what I have to share with you. Okay. So like Dave, I'm going to try to get this thing working. We'll see how it goes.
Well, and in fairness, I actually got it working, just not necessarily very well.
Okay, so let me just do a little check here. Does everybody see my screen with my smiling face? You got it. Okay, good. So we can launch. That's awesome. I'll just have to figure out how to make the screen advance. We'll see what happens here. Okay, here's all the cool stuff about me. If you really care, take a screenshot. Okay, so what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about selling to trade associations and professional societies. We're going to talk about bypassing the gatekeepers. Too many speakers spend too much time wasting their time dealing with gatekeeper. What's a gatekeeper? A gatekeeper is a non-decision maker. Okay, lots of people in associations like to make you think they're a decision maker when they aren't. So we're going to talk about getting to the decision makers, going in the back door. And what we're going to talk about is why associations, hold on. Give me a second here. I'm going to start my timer at 0. Now I'm going to start my stopwatch. Reset. Okay. Dave told me I had 2 hours to talk, less questions and answers, less a 10-minute break. So I thought I'd be really smart and put a timer on. Okay, so why associations? Going to get into that. What I like about associations. I'm going to talk about your positioning, how to sell on the telephone through the editors. Excuse me. For those of you that watched the video, that I think AJ put the link out to the YouTube video, kind of explained all that. Talked a little bit about finding associations, paying for the information, finding the information for free, meetings, industry events, meetings, industry publications, and articles if we have time. So that's all the stuff that we're going to do. Also, just to let you know, if you're going to be going to the NSA convention, Influence, Aidan Crawford and I are going to be giving away a book we're doing that goes through most of this. So just one more reason to attend Influence is on Sunday morning, you'll get a free book. I'm also going to take today's discussion pretty much exclusively through the window of associations. What sometimes will happen, somebody will say to me, well, that's great, but what about this, what about that? And the discussion is, well, they want to talk about corporations. I'm not going to really talk about corporations, other than telling you that speaking at associations will lead you into corporations. But today's all about everything. It's about associations, trade associations, and societies, professional societies. So there is a difference between the two, not a huge difference. There is a bit of overlap, but generally, and this is just kind of general rule, trade associations are organizations where a company joins and all the employees of the company have access to the member benefits. Professional societies are generally where individuals join. So when you hear National Speakers Association and you think trade association, not really. National Speakers Association is really more of a professional society because it's where the individuals join. Let's see. Let me talk to you about, okay, I've been running ever since the pandemic hit. Well, let me back up. So here, let me break my arm, patting myself on the back. I'm one of the few CSPs that also has a certified association executive credential. Not easy to get. You got to jump through a lot of hoops. When the pandemic hit, I started running a online group, and still running it, of association CEOs. So I'm every week listening to what their issues are, what their problems are. And so I'm going to share some of that with you just to give you a little bit better, heads up on what they're dealing with. So if you understand what they're dealing with, you can more easily sell to them. As you might guess, getting attendees to their live meetings is still a huge problem. And part of that is because of the accelerated cost. It cost a ton more to put on a meeting today than it did in 2019. We still have companies and individual, family members that there's a reluctance to travel. Some companies still have a travel ban. Some government bodies have a travel ban. Some families say, no, you're not going on. There's, even though the pandemic effectively is over, there's still a travel ban. And the other thing that's going on, a lot of venues are enforcing their attrition clauses, what they weren't doing. What that is, the association says, okay, we'll get 900 people to our meeting for 3 days in a row. So 900 times 3 is 2,700 rooms. If the association doesn't sell 2,700 room nights, they have to pay for it. So these are some big challenges that associations are dealing with. Associations are having a hard time recruiting and retaining their own talent. A lot of associations went to virtual offices during the pandemic, and a lot of them have stayed that way. There's quite a number that have stayed virtual. And a lot of employees don't want to come back to an office because they love the fact that, they have a 20-foot walk to their bedroom, which is their office. Nonprofits still have the a little bit of a challenge in ability to pay. Most all trade associations or professional societies are IRS recognized 501c6s, which basically means a business league. Cigar Peg, which Dave brought up, is a 501c3. It's a nonprofit charity. It's a public charity. A little bit of difference between the structure of the two. Associations are dealing with regrowing their membership. During the pandemic, a lot of associations, they're leaving. It's all the pandemic. No, it wasn't just the pandemic. They still aren't delivering the value. And they're just now figuring out, okay, they could use the excuse of the pandemic. That excuse is now done. Now they're having to get back to how do we deliver value. There still are a number of budget constraints. A lot of associations used a lot of their reserves during the pandemic, and now they're trying to rebuild them. A lot of associations are having greater and greater reliance on non-dues revenue, meetings, webinars, events, education, those kinds of things. Back in the 1960s, non-dues revenue was about 5% of the budget. Today, non-dues revenue is generally over 50% of the budget, how things have changed. And associations are dealing with different kinds of competition. There's the traditional competition, which is a similar type of association, but there's the non-traditional, all of the online sources. And more now, Members of associations are competing with their association. So there's a lot going on. Okay, here is the landscape that you kind of need. You might want to just do a quick screen capture. That the ones that are in green are where I'm going to have a heavier focus, but everything here you need to understand. So association bookings definitely lead to corporate speaking and consulting, and all of the things, the article writing, the phone calling, the email, the internet SEO, the YouTube, the blogs, the PR, speaking at state and regional associations, showcases, direct marketing, alliance, speakers bureau, so forth. It all leads to it. So this is what you need to look at, and every day you kind of have to decide what amount of time do you want to put into each of these activities, or maybe rather than on a daily basis, maybe a weekly basis to keep you cranky. So take a screen capture there and print it, put it up on your wall. I'm going to talk about the speaking revenue models. So, and I want to say that there is no right way. There is no one way. I know back in the late 1980s, early 1990s with NSA, if you're not a keynoter, you're a second-class citizen. But I think we moved past that. And so the model of speak and receive an honorarium. What's an honorarium? An honorarium is a fee. They're one and the same. Then we've got speak and receive other value. Maybe speak at an association and you become a member. They give you a membership for a year. What does that give you? Well, that gives you access to the membership list. Speak and they video you. Speak and maybe they put together a program and you guys, co-promote it. There's a lot of ways that you can get other value beyond cash. There's a ton of ways. Speak for exposure with no selling. I mean, this is typically what we hear associations call, oh, would you like to speak? We don't have a budget, but we're going to give you exposure. Yeah, thanks. And no, you can't sell from the platform. This one is the worst of all options. Speak to sell. I see this very frequently, especially in the association world. A lot of the sponsors, a lot of the affiliate members, they'll sponsor the association meeting. They'll get a slot, or somebody will pay to get a slot. And basically what they want to do is they sell. And the way they sell, and this is not a bad way. I mean, not bad at all. So you speak in an association meeting, you pay to be there, you give pretty good content. During the talk, you give a free gift. That free gift, once they buy it, they get an email from you with an entry-level package. And ultimately, the people that buy the entry-level package, the next level is you're going to sell them. And an entry-level package is going to be like $50, $100. And then the next level is your system, your class, your this, your that, which is more like $35, $45, $5,500. It's a good model, nothing wrong with it. And the sponsorship is basically the same thing. The thing that you want to look at, whether you're being paid to speak or not being paid to speak, do you have pre and post add-ons? One of the easiest post add-on would be like a webinar series. So you speak at an association meeting and then you do a series of webinars afterwards to drive your content home. And it's really honestly a way that you've got all these additional opportunities to sell people on your additional programs. So these are the basic revenue models. Now, as far as the income on these various revenue models, out there in the marketplace, we've got celebrity speakers. They're political, they're entertainment, they're sports people. Their ranges go usually from 50,000 to 500,000. They're not expected to deliver content. What they're expected to do is generate more registration. That's called getting butts in seats. And usually they're booked through speakers bureaus. Similarly, with well-known authors, The fee range is more like $50,000 to $100,000. But again, it's to get butts and seats, get people to generate, to register. And that's their job. And their job is not to deliver content. People just want to be in the room with them. And they're usually booked through bureaus. Then we've got a lot of the higher paid speakers in NSA. I call them the experiencers, the people that climb Mount Everest, the fighter pilots. There you go, Dave. The life-changing public events, all these kinds of things. And that range tends to be in that $10,000 to $30,000 range. Their job is to, at the conference, to enthuse people, excite people, motivate people. A lot of those price range people do get booked through bureaus. Then the next level is the subject matter experts, which is a lot of what the NSA people are. They're consultants, they're authors, they're academic, they're industry experts. Their fee ranges go from about $2,500 to about $15,000. They're really nuts and bolts how-to. And they get booked with a combination of speakers bureaus and direct bookings. The SCARPEG runs the Virtual Speakers Hall of Fame, and in that directory list, a bunch of the people have gotten bookings that were in this. Dave, I think you were one of them, weren't you?
Yeah, I did get a booking, I think a year and a half ago. That was
So-
the fastest close I've ever had. It was literally like 2 weeks.
So there you go. Your couple dollar investment turned into a lot of money. Very good. Perfect.
And it was full fee.
Yeah. Then we've got entertainers that are really not like the big name headliners, but various entertainers. They're that $500 to $20,000. They're usually kind of after meals entertainment. They're more booked through agents rather than speakers bureaus. Then we've got professional speakers. Again, that's what a lot of NSA is. That $1,000 to $7,500. Again, they're the nuts and bolts. Some through bureaus, mostly at that fee direct bookings. Public speakers and industry speakers generally don't get paid much. If you're a paid speaker, don't ever refer to yourself as a public speaker. Because that's demeaning yourself. Refer to yourself as a professional speaker, because public speakers don't get paid much. Industry speakers don't get paid much, and they mostly just regurgitate data. And they're mostly direct bookings. And then, as I talked about earlier, company sponsored speakers, they don't get paid at all. And while they're not supposed to sell from the platform, that is their job to sell. So that's what it looks like out there. Now, I said early on one of the first topic was why I love associations. If you were to look in this book, the National Trade and Professional Association Directory, published by Columbia, and the last hard copy was published in 2019. Online is available. There's 7,500 national associations and societies. And when you extrapolate out all the regional, state, and local, there's about 100,000 associations and societies in the United States. And most of those most of those organizations can book you and me. Why I say this is there's plenty of business out there. We don't have to be grappling and taking business that's not in our subject matter. I get a lot of things that come across the transom to me. And if it's something I don't want to do, which is a lot of it, I send it off to the association and society speakers community that Aidan Crawford and I run. Give it to the people that's their topic. So, stick to your lane, and I will guarantee you there truly is a lot of business if you'll go after it. So the cool thing with associations is they have publications, which helps with my method. They have meetings, which, it's important because corporations don't have to have meetings. In rough times, associations still do have to have meetings as they go out of business. Associations tend to have experienced meeting planners and understand what professional speakers and thought leaders are paid. They don't get that sticker shock. Also, associations are truly a gathering of business owners. So it's for you. Think about it. If you get paid or don't get paid to speak in an association, your audience is generally business leaders. If you do a good job, there's a good chance that they will bring you in. So I love associations because I can go the back door through, talk to the editor, make my relationship bank deposits, find out who the decision makers are, plug myself in, and get paid to speak in front of people that can hire me. What's not to love? So here's the part of this that a lot of speakers have a problem with. A lot of speakers, this is your roadblock. And we were just talking on the breakout, and I was chatting and telling somebody, I said, yeah, that what you're talking about is a great feature, but what's the benefit? And people out there buy benefits. They don't buy features. And so if you're positioning yourself as offering features rather than benefit, you may have a harder time booking yourself. So if we look at this gentleman here, he pretty much knows what he's about. Would you agree? I mean, he can make a joke out of it. He has no problem. He puts it out to the world. This is who I am, what I do. See, you and me, we have this problem called squirrel, and bright, shiny objects. We are multi-talented people, and we speakers have a hard time staying focused. So a lot of times we speakers put ourselves out there in the marketplace as a handyman. Now, a handyman can do a lot of things, but is not a master craftsman, is not a certified plumber or electrician or this, that, or the other. So if you want to get the higher fees and you want these people to bring you into their conference for the keynotes as opposed to the breakouts, you got to do a little bit of work and understand. This is, I don't have time to go through this. You might want to do a screen capture on this real quick. I don't have time to go through this in great detail, but this is something that I have people do at my intensives. And basically what it is, the larger, lower umbrella, what you want to do is put in there, what is your topic? Now, how you get that is all of those strings going from you to the umbrella, all the things that you do. I do presentations on X. I do presentations on Y. I have an educational course on Z. I have a part-time day job on B. I am a consultant on L. And you write all the things on the strings, and if there's not enough strings, add more. And then you have to ask yourself, what really is my topic? And to effectively sell yourself to associations, you really have to know what your topic is. And to make matters worse, it's got to fit within the association pigeonholes. Now, a lot of speakers go, yeah, but I don't want to be pigeonholed. Yeah, but if you want to get booked, you're going to have to be pigeonholed. They have to know where to use you, how to use you. So you have to be able to say, my topic is sales, my topic is leadership, my topic is customer service, my topic is social media, my topic is AI, my topic is HR, just on and on and on. My topic is productivity. But then if you look at the little teeny canopy in the top, that's how you sell yourself. See, you need to decide what is your unique approach to a basic topic that associations understand the topic. And let's just take leadership. Okay, if you're one of the 5,432 speakers in the United States on leadership, you have to differentiate yourself. Same thing with marketing. So how are you unique, different, better, special in your topic? And until you have an answer for that little teeny canopy on the top, you're going to struggle. So there's no one right answer. There's lots and lots and lots of right answers. And you just have to determine for you, how are you different, better, special? And that's not easy for people. It honestly isn't. So make sure you have a screen capture of this. I would encourage everybody to work on this at your leisure. If you have a mastermind group, get with your mastermind group and work on this with your mastermind group. Okay, let's talk about credibility builders for speakers. Now, I'm not, and a good number of us are not, a TV personality, a movie personality, a music personality, a sports personality, war celebrity. Okay, so I mean, for us mere mortals, we have to look at other things. Maybe you might have done some research or survey publishing. You might have special certifications. You have gotten other media attention, like social media. You know, you've gotten a big name in podcasting, or you've got a lot of followers in your blog or YouTube or something like that. Maybe you've had a column for a lot of years. You know, Dave, you said that you have a column in a particular magazine. We could talk another time about how to leverage that. I think that there's a way to leverage that a lot more than maybe you have been. You can be a self-published author. I mean, years ago, you know, it was like if you weren't a New York author, you were nothing. But today, there's so many self-published authors that I think that stigma is gone. Now, being a best-selling author, I'm not talking about on Amazon on Tuesday being the #1 seller on dog collars. But what I'm talking about is a New York or Wall Street Journal bestseller, and then book industry published. I will say my book Partnership that was published by Wiley, I didn't make a lot of money off the book as far as book sales, but I made a lot of money off the book as far as speaking engagements. So, you know, that a traditional book industry publisher can really deliver a bit of credibility. So I'm putting up the pictures of all my books only to impress you for no other reason. And so here are my books. This one on the front left, or the ROI of membership, I self-published that one. And I own it at $2. I sell it at $50. That I've made more money off of that book than almost anything. I'm a real giver because associations combine 3 for 100 or 10 for 300. So self-published books, you can make a lot of money off of on the book. As I said, Partnership, which was published by Wiley, I made a lot of money on speaking. I mentioned earlier about certifications. I don't think the marketplace honestly really gives a hoot if you have a CSP, but I think your colleagues do. And I think that it helps you and I to feel better about ourselves. I got my CSP in 2000. And I remember when I got my CSP, I said to myself, wow, I guess I really am a professional speaker. In 2012, I got my CAE, Certified Association Executive Credential, because that's important to the people I sell to. So in your market, if there is a certification available to you that your customers have, I would encourage you to go after that certification. Now, also for credibility, are you putting across all your social media the same picture? Are you being consistent, or are you putting all kinds of silly different pictures? Another thing that I do for credibility, if you look at the very bottom here where the arrow, I do a TV show on YouTube called Raw and Unedited for Association Executives. It's just one more thing that I do for credibility. I get to interview the people that I want to sell to. And you can go to that channel, and you can listen to interviews that I've done with a lot of association CEOs. If you go to LinkedIn, it looks exactly the same. The header picture, exactly the same. I'm connected with a whole lot of association execs. If you and I are not connected on LinkedIn and you want to be connected on LinkedIn, send me an invitation. And please be sure to mention that you are attending this program, because I get a lot of invitations, especially from really good-looking 20-year-old Chinese girls that have 7 connections. And so I'm very, very careful on who I connect with, and people are trying to sell stuff to me I don't connect with. So happy to connect with you. Happy to let you be second line connection with the several thousand association executives I'm first line connection with, which will make it easier. We'll talk later about how you can leverage LinkedIn. Let's see. I'm just impressing you with how many people I'm connected with is the only reason that these slides are up here. If you see on the top, nonprofit management, that's 4,000 there. Let me talk a little bit about, again, pushing this idea of credibility for you. This book, 24 Karat Bold, was written by Mindy Gibbons Klein. She's an American, but she lives in the UK. She goes by the handle, the book midwife. She wrote this book to really push people to write books. But her model, I really, really like in the book, is reach, engagement, authority, and longevity real. And she talks about in her book about what is your reach to help you be a thought leader? What is your engagement? What level of authority do you have? And your longevity. How long have you been doing this? You can't be a thought leader if you just jumped into this topic last week. So and it's really not that you're going to put yourself saying I'm a thought leader. It's when other people say you're a thought leader. Associations are looking for thought leaders. They really, really are, in whatever topic that you have your expertise in. Another thing I do, and doesn't mean you have to, but I've got a group on LinkedIn for association people, member ROI. The LinkedIn groups are not as valuable as they used to be. LinkedIn kind of devastated when they quit allowing the group leader to message. The LinkedIn groups became less valuable. It helps me for my positioning, but quite honestly, I think there's other ways you could spend your time better. On LinkedIn, also, there's this whole discussion. If I think, Dave, I can't remember, did we have in our chapter, did we have either Tom Singer or Richard Bliss talking about the whole idea of one post a week, pushing people versus auto posts? For years, I was doing auto posts. I was using revive.social. I was doing a lot, but engagement started going down. Here's revive.social. This is a WordPress plugin. I think it's about $75 a year. And it just, you can set how frequent you want your articles from your blog to post. But using Bliss's,
Yeah, no, we had Sherry Fitz actually last month talking.
Yeah, I was on that call. Sherry didn't talk about the stuff that Richard talked about. Yeah, I've got, as a matter of fact, I got a whole page of notes here on my desk from Sherry Fitz's presentation. It started off pretty slow, but it got going after a while. So with Richard Bliss's idea, post, get a whole bunch of interaction. I was playing around with that, and you can, just as an example, here's one of my posts that got 11,000 impressions. So I think Richard Bliss is onto something, and he's probably more accurate. So I would, what I was doing for a long time with the auto posting using Revive Social, I've shifted, and I'd probably encourage you to take this approach. Another thing that I do, I've got lots of association CAE, Certified Association Executive Education, on my website. And I'm always mentioning on the listservs, because I'm a member of ASAE, American Society of Association Executives, and other groups, and always mention, hey, here's free CAE education. And because ASAE mandates now you have to have an hour or two ethics, I've got 5 ethics courses that I've partnered with actual people that know something about ethics, not that I do, and various other courses. So that's another way for credibility. Also, my weekly CEO group on Zoom. This I only allow chief staff executive, CEO, executive director, whatever the top paid person is, into the group. But that really helps me to have credibility in the marketplace. As I said, it gives me also access to put a lot of information into the CEO networks and other networks. Okay, let's shift gears. We're at 30 minutes. I'll take a breath. Does anybody else want to take a breath? Jovita, didn't somebody tell you if you eat, you're supposed to, Grubhub some stuff to me too? I mean, come on. Where's the love? Holy cow! I'm feeling left out. So let's get to get paid bookings to speak. Let's talk about that a little bit. Oh, also, let me go back. Hey, sorry, guys. If you guys put something in the chat, I won't see it. So, Dave, would you do me a favor? Would you kind of monitor? I forgot to tell you that. Would you monitor the chat? And if somebody asked a really cool question that you think is pertinent, feel free to interrupt me and stop me. I'm happy to answer it. Don't get ticked if I say we'll cover that in a bit, but I'm not following the chat. So
the only question so far was Ginger wanted to know if you thought those LinkedIn were really girls.
God, I'm starting to get those now on Facebook too. I mean, it's like, do these people? Who's got these bots that create these profiles? It's crazy. I mean, I probably get 5 a day on LinkedIn, just really pretty, very young Asian girls that want to connect with me that have some BS title and have got 10 connections. It's like, really? Come on. Okay, let's move on. So I'm going to talk to you about 2 approaches to this business. I'm going to talk to you about laser focus, and I'm going to talk to you about another approach. But the idea with laser focus means go deep in an industry. If you were to get that NTPA directory and you were to look in the middle where it says subject index, there's about 125 subjects/industries. If you were to pick the one that you think you most relate to, and then in that directory, you're going to have anywhere from 50 to a couple hundred associations that fit within that industry. If you use that as your prospecting list and go deep, calling on all those associations and calling on all those associations chapters and all those associations affiliate groups, and go deep in an industry and start getting your articles published in that industry, get a few speaking engagements in that industry, work your way to other state chapters, work your way up to national, work your way from national down to state chapters. And then if there are any industry specific societies of association executives or association executive councils, I mean, you go deep, 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 people get to know you. And that is a really, really good way to get a lot of business and do it quickly.
Hey, so we got a question from Ruth. She wants to know, since her topic is very broad, she says it applies to anyone with a brain, which I would submit is probably more narrow than she thinks. What's the best way to choose an industry?
Well, what I usually tell people is look at your client list. Have your clients self-selected? You know, if you look at your client list and you go, you know, I've got one here, one here, one here, one here, one here, one here, and here, but I've got like 6 over here. Maybe look at the 6 over here and what industry are they in? And then go that way. Because yes, there's a lot of topics that you can go anywhere. But the thing is, go deep in one industry. And then, Ruth, the other thing too is this doesn't mean you stay there the rest of your life. What it means is you go deep in one industry. And once you exhaust that industry, then you pick another one. But don't pick another one until you've exhausted that industry. And it can take you several months to get through all of these associations and their chapters. Because think about it, a lot of associations might have 30 to 50 chapters. You got a lot of work here. And it could take a good 3 to 6 months to completely go through and contact everybody in that one vertical. Then pick another vertical. Then pick the next best one. And then after, 3 to 6 months of that, pick the third. So, and just, if you're in this business for a long time, there might be many industries that you specialize in. But the idea is if you take the scattered approach and just put it out there, it's okay. You can do that. It's just going to be slower. And you're going to be doing more chasing gigs and less building credibility in an industry. So if you want to do the scattered approach, okay, then speak at all the state and local Society of Association executives. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Speak at hosted buyer events, okay? Participate in video directories, like the Association and Society Speakers Community or the Cigar Pegs Virtual Speakers Hall of Fame, and let just anybody pick you. So either is okay, and it's okay to work both at the same time. So, but it's important that if you choose to work both at the same time, that you're very aware of, am I working laser focus or am I working scattered? And making sure that if you do want to work both, that you understand every day what your activity is and where it fits. Now, when I mentioned the subject index, there's just some examples from the NTPA of the different industries and subjects, and I pretty much guarantee that, I could be wrong, but it would seem to me that most everybody, if you go get this directory, and if you don't want to buy a copy, which you can, most public libraries have it, and in the reference section, and go grab it, look through the 125 different subjects, pick the one you like, take your phone out, take a picture of all the associations and then go home, and that's your prospecting list. Now, let's change gears. Yeah.
And so I just want to add too, those libraries sell the old ones really cheaply. So the one I got when I started out some years ago was the 2016. I think I bought it in 2018, and it was pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, the challenge with that now is because they stopped publishing that book, the hard copy, in 2019. So now we're at 4 years that there's no new ones out there. And yes, the libraries used to just give them to the friends of the library. They would be in sales, they'd be on. And for years and years and years, I told people, I used to buy them myself for 10, 20 bucks a piece. But there's a lot less out there now than there were, and they're more expensive than they were. And so that's why it's like, well, maybe it's worth, going to a large local public library and just doing that. You can buy a 2019 copy. I think it's about 300 bucks, but still that's pretty cheap. You can get the online. And if you're an NSA member, I think the online access for NSA members, and I'll show you a slide of that in a minute, is about $350 or something like that. So I'll get to that in a couple of minutes. But here's what you're going to do. Okay, when you figured out who you're going to sell to, I want you to be thinking about reciprocity. Okay, now most everybody's familiar with Robert Rinaldi's book, Influence, and he talks about the 6 aspects of influence. I'm only for just right now going to talk about reciprocity. And, if you go to my website, rigsbee.com, you see it circled here where it says Article Bank. All that is the WordPress blog mechanism. And I had my guy, Aiden Crawford, change it from blog to Article Bank. And if you can see, I've got all the subcategories. And so within that, all of these are relationship bank deposits. So create really good articles that solve problems for association members, and then contact the association editor, make a relationship bank deposit by giving the editor your articles, giving him access, showing him you have an article bank, showing him having permission to reprint there, tell them that they have 24/7 access. I have, in my permission to reprint, I have permission for reasonable edit, whatever the hell that means. And but I have the word count. So if an editor wants a quick article, they want a 700 word, they like a title, but it's 800 words with permission to edit, they figure, heck, I can quickly edit this thing down. And then after you've made a relationship bank deposit, you do the old Columbo close or doorknob close, and you say to the editor, hey, before I let you go, one quick question. Could you tell me who the decision maker is for selecting speakers for your meetings? And they're going to say, well, the meeting planner is so-and-so. Go, well, thanks. Just a quick question on that. Is the meeting planner the logistics person, or is the meeting planner the decision makers select speakers? And probably more times than not, they'll say, well, no, actually, maybe our executive director or our director of meetings or our director of conferences, something like that, is the decision maker. Ask them to connect you, and you've got a much better chance of getting to that decision maker as an internal connection than as you just trying to come in from the outside through the gatekeepers. But here's kind
So
of.
I got a question for you.
Yep.
How often is that decision maker a staff person, as you just described, versus board member, board president, or a committee?
In my experience, I would probably say 60 to 70% of the decision makers, the final decision makers, are a paid staff person. There are a lot of organizations that have committees that make the decisions, but I would say over half, probably that 60 to 70%, it's really a paid staff person that makes the decisions. And especially in trade associations, a lot of times with societies, they've got the committee people because they're actually using a lot of internal speakers in selecting. And there's always going to be an exception to every rule. But, I've noticed, like, on the people that have contacted speakers from the Virtual Speakers Hall of Fame directory, or from the Association of Society Speakers Community, a lot of them are trade associations, and it's the executive director that makes the decisions. I've noticed that. So, but if you don't make the calls, you're going to have a hard time. So, telephone scripts, you want to make sure you find how to get to the editor. And you might want to do a screen capture on this one real quick. You want to make sure that you catch the editor's interest with really good content. And let me just stop. And I was working on the book that Aid and I are giving away at Influence. Guys, be careful of using AI, ChatGPT or Jasper. And Jamie Nolan, CEO of NSA, just posted that she was at a webinar where association people are saying now they're mandating that their speakers sign or a contract or reveal if they use AI to develop their presentations or to develop their IP. So, I was at a presentation just 2 weeks ago for association people on how to use AI. Look, if you use AI to generate your articles, they can too, and they don't need you. You need to bring in your unique, better, special, why you are the subject matter expert, why you are the thought leader. AI is not the subject matter expert. AI is not the thought leader. So enough of that. I didn't finish. Get to the editor. Make sure you've got your articles at your website. Make sure you walk them through. Then don't forget about the doorknob close on trying to connect with the decision maker. And when you talk to the decision maker the first time, don't try to sell them anything. Don't try to sell them anything. Ask them about their process for selecting speakers. That's what you want to do. And if you do that, they will tell you how to sell to them. In the ASSC community, you've got over, 60 interviews with association CEOs. And they all tell me when I'm interviewing them, just listen to me. I'll tell you how to sell to me. But listen to me. If I tell you to contact me in 2 months, don't call me in 2 weeks. So I think that's something to think about. I think it's important also you understand the buying motives. Why do they want to hire you? They want to deliver value to their members that'll help their members to make more money. They want to, also help their members to avoid loss. They want to help their members to avoid pain. They want to give their members comfort and pleasure in giving them information. They want their members to be in love with the association for bringing the particular speaker in. And the associations want the pride and prestige of bringing, big name speakers or subject matter experts. You want to speak to these buying motives when you're talking to people that decide on who brings speakers in, and figure out what is their buying motive, what's driving them. And I will tell you, more association decision makers just want you not to suck than want you to be stellar. More just want you to be safe than want you to be a thought leader. It's unfortunate, but that's the truth. So that's a reality. So you've got to make sure while you are cutting edge, you've got to make sure you're also the safe choice. So if you can't get through with paid staff, as Dave brought up earlier about volunteers, sometimes the chair, president-elect, program committee, events chair. I mean, I've had it where with groups where, like, I've contacted the program chair and called them up, said, hey, I just wanted to ask permission to send you a speaker packet. Would that be okay? And sometimes they'd say yes. Sometimes they'd say no. Sometimes they'd say yes, send them a speaker packet. And then they'd send the speaker packet to the guy on the committee that's choosing speakers. And I can't tell you, more than once, I would ask the person that hired me, hey, why'd you hire me? Well, so-and-so sent me your packet, so I just assumed that he wanted me to hire you. Yes. So, don't be afraid of the committees, but also be careful, because if you do an in run around paid staff, they might get upset. So there is a challenge there, and there might be a price to pay. I would just, when I mentioned earlier about the ASSC, which is the Association and Society Speakers community that I run, and Aiden runs it with me. We've got like about 60 interviews. This is the thing that I'm really picking up from these people when I'm interviewing them, and the people in the community have access to all these, that they want you to solve the problems of their members. They want you to have a unique, different, better, special message. And they want you to listen to them when they tell you how to communicate with them and how to sell to them. And that seems to be the thread that runs through all of these interviews. So I'll also talk to you. Let me check. We're at 49. Hey, Dave, do you want to do that 10-minute break right now?
Yes, this will work perfect.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, folks, I've got 23 after. Let's make it 12 minutes and reconvene to get started again on the dot at 25 till.
Hey, Ed, are you willing to take a question? It's Ginger.
Sure, why not? Abuse me. Use and abuse me.
I'm only gonna come on over, man. I'll make you some food.
Yeah, beat me up.
So a couple questions. I do a lot of work in association too, and I've had some people like, have you attended Ed's things yet? Linda Hollander's been on my butt as one. Anyway, it's great to finally be here.
Linda's a sweetheart.
Yes, she is. So the ASSC, what does that stand for again?
Association and Society Speakers Community.
And that's when you started?
It is a for-profit organization that Aiden Crawford and I started 2 years ago. And something, for years and years and years, I've spoken at chapters, and for years I've gone around the country and done 2-day speaker intensives. And then, when the pandemic hit, we couldn't do those. And I don't know exactly how or why we started the community, but we did. And we took, all of my content from, I've recorded from the workshops and put it in. And we started, creating this community to help speakers sell to associations. And it just keeps growing, and our members keep giving us ideas. And like all these interviews I've been doing, Initially, it was just to help speakers get to know association execs.
Mhm.
But then later, as it grew and grew and grew, all of a sudden it became, hey, go sell to those people. And, you know, and so,
They're
you
telling
know,
you, are you listening?
yeah. And then some people in the group said something about, well, because a lot of people in the group are also in Cigar Pig. Well, you got the Virtual Speakers Hall of Fame. Why don't we have something like that for ASSC? So, we have it now where members can pay, an extra fee and have their video up in a directory. And then, I promote that directory at ASAE. When anybody asks about, hey, looking for a speaker, I put up the Virtual Speaker Hall of Fame link and I put up the ASSC directory link. And so it's just kind of, it's kind of gotten a life of its own. It just, it wasn't a grand plan. It's just evolved.
And how do you consider adding people to the membership, or is that something?
We usually ask you to give your firstborn.
Okay.
And, yeah. No, if you, if thanks for
4
asking.
legs a piece if you want one of them.
Yeah. You can go to speakercommunity.org.
Okay.
And we've got, it's interesting. I think we did a good job. What we've done is when we started off, the inaugural people got a good price, and everybody that comes in, whatever price you come in at, that's the price you always pay as long as you keep your membership. But we keep raising the price of the membership. Like June 1, the membership's going to go up another $20 a month. But we don't force people to do any long-term commitments. It's, you can join for a month and leave if you want. We don't care. But if you do join, as long as you keep your membership price never goes up, regardless of what the current price for new members is.
Okay, that's very generous of you. Okay.
I think rewarding loyalty is important.
Sure. And then another one of your cigar peggers and a good friend of mine too, Michael Goldberg, he is with Wiley as well. It's probably a bigger question, but how did you choose Wiley? How did you and Wiley get in cahoots?
It's funny. I was speaking at a conference that, if I'm not mistaken, I think Mike Frank put me in for. And it was some Lions, yada, 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 yada conference. And I just happened to be, you always have the lunch table and everybody's introducing themselves. And there's a guy, he was an editor from Wiley. And I said, oh, you hear pimping books? He goes, no, I'm looking for authors. And I said, really? He goes, yeah. I handed him my first book that I was going to redo, called The Art of Partnering. And I said, well, as a matter of fact, I'm looking for a publisher. Handed it to him. We got together and probably within 6 months had a signed contract. It was just a fluke.
Hey, Ed, can I interrupt just real quick before the break is over? Your message to me disappeared, but I saw it before it did.
What message?
About the challenge coins.
Oh. No, I was just saying, if anybody wants to really ingratiate themselves with me, they can make sure they get me a military or law enforcement challenge coin. As a matter of fact, one guy up in the Cigar Peg suite, he was Secret Service, and it took him 2 years, but he finally came through with the challenge coin. So one time
this one's Secret Service.
Yeah, no. One time, it's funny. I was speaking at the New Mexico NSA chapter, and Jerome Wade. We went to a cigar lounge that evening. It was kind of crowded, so there's this one guy just sitting by himself smoking a cigar. I said, "Hey, man, do you mind if we sit with you?" He goes, "Yeah, sit down." And Jerome and I just started talking business. We're going blah, 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 blah. And then this guy kind of got interested and started talking to us. And then he finally revealed he was FBI. And so I hit him up, and he actually sent me to Albuquerque FBI challenge coins. So
FBI gave me one that's actually a surfboard.
No, I don't want a surfboard. I want a round one.
Yeah.
See, any odd shape doesn't fit in my cabinet. I need round ones. But you know, it's just it's fun. As a matter of fact, Cigar Peg is going to have challenge coins. So at Influence, if you are a benefactor or a high roller, you will be given a Cigar Peg challenge coin. So we even upped our game to have challenge coins.
A message received. They give these to me all the time. Every time I last week I spoke somewhere and they gave them to me and I gave them away. But
Well,
because I have tons of them.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Message received.
Does anybody else have any questions that they want to throw out there? We've got 6 minutes according to my timer.
Hey, Ed, Bruce Shear from Seattle, and I'm on your sign-up page for the community, and I was wondering if you're offering a special discount code for everybody attending today, or a coupon code, it says on your sign-up page.
Okay, somebody asked a question in the chat. Can we get a special coupon code for your community I'm in? Sorry, don't have any of those. Just go to speakercommunity.org. Don't have anything special. Sorry about that. We treat everybody democratically, meaning the same. Bruce says I can give 3. You can give 3 what? Bruce, what can you give 3? I'm lost. Honesty is everything.
3 of his firstborn. You said it would take over.
That's funny.
Thanks for fielding the questions, Ed. Appreciate it.
Somebody put, why would they ask you to sign off on AI? Hey, okay, where's that coming from?
That was me again, Ginger.
Okay. You know something? It's we are in the infancy. Okay, Chat GPT has been available to us for how long? 3, 4, 5 months. We are in the infancy of AI. We don't know what the copyright issues are going to be. We don't know what IP, intellectual property infringement, is going to be. There's just so much. There's a plagiarism. I mean, using Chat GPT and not for a finished product and not announcing it is honestly plagiarism because you didn't create it. You know, if you use Chat GPT to, hey, one of the 10 most important things that this industry cares about, and then you go, oh, okay, that's interesting, and you take those 10 most important things and you go write your own content about that or adjust it, okay, that's fine. But it's just what they're looking for. They don't want Chat GPT or Jasper created. And I just got something from Google because of the Cigar Peg being a 501c3 charity. The Google just offered me some beta service that I can sign up for free. That's AI. I'm sorry. So you know, there's a lot going on. So all I would say is, and especially with that workshop that I was on, that webinar I was on a couple of weeks ago for association CEOs, I mean, they're being taught how to use it. So be careful. You need to be unique, better, special. You need to shine. And Chat GPT will do a phenomenal job of making you mediocre. So, you know, you might want to just kind of consider that. Not that I'm not saying don't use it, but there's ways and hows to use it. Okay, I'm going to look through these. Most of contacts are in the web.
It's also really obvious when somebody's using Chat GPT. I mean, it is painfully obvious to read. It's flat. There's no personality to it whatsoever.
Well, I mean, I have read some pretty funny ones. I and another NSA speaker at a Cigar Peg event, we put into Chat GPT, tell us about so-and-so, I won't say what speaker, in a humorous, narkish way. And it put a thing up about that particular speaker, and we were howling over it. So it really was kind of funny. But let's see, Bruce Shearer, yes, but most of contacts are on the web pages, so you really need to know is the associate. Yeah, Bruce, that's the whole thing. If you go get the NTPA book and you just take a picture of the pages with the name, yeah, you Google the association, the National Association of XYZ, you go to their website, and that's going to be all the up-to-date information. It's going to have all the contacts. Absolutely. Yes, you are correct. Out-of-date books? No, it's just because you got to go to the website. Let's see, Ginger bought the 2019 one. Okay, good. Dave, who's that? Art of the National Trade Professional Association.
Oh, I was responding to Art. So Art asked what NATP was. I think you're probably going backwards or something. So Art.
Yeah, I am. I'm working my way back here.
One thing I like while Ed is scrolling, this is Ginger. One thing I like about the hard copy, I'm more of a hard copy than online, so that's my favorite format. One thing I appreciate it for people who don't know about it is it's organized in different ways. It's organized by revenue, it's organized by size, you can go by geography. So that's one thing I really like about it. It goes by last name. So if you met somebody and you can't remember what they're with, you can look that up. Now, of course, it is 19, so there's still some spelunking to do, but that was one thing I really liked about getting the copy of it.
Yeah, and the interesting thing in the last 2 to 3 years, association people have been, playing the Chinese fire drill and just moving from place to place to place to place. There's been so much movement since the pandemic, so much movement that, that's why it's really, really good to be connected with association people via LinkedIn, because wherever they jockey around to, you can still find them. Like a guy by the name of Richard Yap, he was CEO of the American Psychological Society. I interviewed him. There's a conversation with him. I saw on LinkedIn or something, he's now at sanitation, something or the other. Went into LinkedIn, sent him a note. Hey, good to see you landed at such and such. He sent me a note back. So I would encourage you, as many association people as you can connect with via LinkedIn. Do it, because wherever they jump around to. Okay, hey, Dave, my timer says that it's time to get back going again.
Yeah, we're 2 minutes late.
I'm sorry?
We're 2 minutes late.
Yeah, actually mine says 3 minutes late. Sorry about that. My bad. Okay, shall I start, or what are we going to do here?
Start.
Okay, going to start. Okay, so the two-pronged attack on going after decision makers via LinkedIn. And that's not a fork meant to go after a barbecue, but two-pronged attack. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on, guys. I got to get there we go. Okay, so one of the things I want to say about LinkedIn, you have no business being on LinkedIn in the morning, because LinkedIn you should be doing in the afternoon when you're low energy. You should be on the phone in the morning, or at a minimum, writing customized emails, okay? You should not be on LinkedIn. Be on LinkedIn in the late afternoon, early evening. So in connecting on LinkedIn with their staff, I would encourage you, connect with people with the title of CEO, Executive Director, Executive Vice President, Chief Operating Officer. Also, I'd encourage you to connect with people with publications editor title, Director of Communications, Director of Marketing, Director of Events, and or Director of Conferences, and or Director of Meetings. These are titles that will matter to you when these are the people you want to connect with. And the way you do it is go up into My Network on the very top, click on that, search all filters, and then what you want to do is you want to, on the top left there where I've got second circled, you want to search people. You don't want to search people you're already connected with. You're already connected with them. You don't want to search third, because you're probably not going to do well. but you want to search second. And if you're connected with me, that's going to help you because you're going to be connected second with a whole heck of a lot more people. And so if you search second, and then if you look at in the title and in the company, okay, you got to scroll down. Okay, this is search with all filters. Scroll down to the very bottom, and for company, you're going to put association, and then you're going to search all the titles, and then you're going to come back, and then for company, you're going to put society, and you're going to search all the titles. That's going to give you a ton. Now, I do pay for LinkedIn Premium. They hit me for $59 a month. I don't know why I pay it, but I do. But it does allow me to get much larger searches. If you're using free LinkedIn, you're going to get limited searches. So it may be worth your time to get LinkedIn Premium for 6 months to where you can do more search, connect with more people, and then, after 6 months, close it down. So that's the way to find the people. What I do is I put a thank you note in, and again, don't try to sell them. Don't, just say thank you. If you want to make a relationship bank deposit like I do, saying, hey, I have all these articles, feel free, you can publish them or give them to your publications editor, have at it. But I'm not selling them anything. Wait until the next contact. And if people then send you a note back, oh, thanks for the articles. Now send them a note back. Hey, by the way, could you tell me who's the decision maker in your organization for selecting speakers? And a lot of times they will. And then you can either try to connect with them on LinkedIn or pick up the phone. Also, a cool thing, if you use your smartphone and you're on the LinkedIn app on your smartphone, you see the little blue thing that I have circled right there? That's the phone messaging. So if you go into, on your smartphone, go into the LinkedIn app, and on the bottom where there's messages, a little microphone, you click it, and you've got, if I'm not mistaken, up to 30 seconds to leave a voice message. It's very, very cool. It can help differentiate you from others. A lot of people, I don't use this, but I wanted to bring it up to you. A lot of people on emails getting through to people will use Vidyard or BombBomb, and a lot of people have success with that. I don't have a really good reason why I don't use it. I just don't. Maybe I'm lazy, but I do want to bring it up that it is a good tool. Let's talk for a moment about, a lot of times people want to talk to me about fees. And let me just tell you, because I've had to go through a lot of association law to get my certified association executive credential, probably more than I ever cared to have to go through. We, in an association like this, we can talk about fees historically. We cannot talk about fees in the future. We cannot collude to say we're going to only charge or no more than X, Y, or Z. That would be illegal. That would be antitrust. But we could talk all day. Everybody could get on and say, okay, my last 5 fees were this. It's fine. Nothing illegal about it. NSA likes us not to talk about fees because NSA is afraid of people, not understanding the difference. So I will talk to you about fees a little bit, but I think the big thing is understanding this. Before you sign a contract, that's called negotiation. After you sign a contract, if you want something, that's called begging. And I think you really need to understand the difference. So, one of the things for associations, I use a term, I say my nonprofit fee is 50% of my corporate fee. So people, when they say, what's your fee? And I say, well, my corporate fee is X and my nonprofit fee is 50% of that. So it's Y. And that creates a situation where there's a lot less negotiating. I also talk to associations about, have you thought about, and this is especially valuable with trade associations when they're in more resort locations. I said, have you ever thought about just having one speaker doing multiple programs at your meeting? Have one fee, one flight, one hotel room, one lodging. I had I had a guy, Canadian paper box. I forgot the guy's name. Called me out of Toronto, and we had talked a bunch of times. And he says, "Ed, I hope you're not insulted, but I figured out it's cheaper for me to hire you to go speak in Maui because you live on the West Coast than it is for me to pay for 3 industry speakers to come and speak for free." So I'm not insulted. Happy to take your money. So it's important that you understand when they say, "Oh, well, we get free speakers." Well, if you know that the association's headquarters is in, say, the Northeast, and the meetings in Hawaii, and you live in the West, or if there are meetings in the Bahamas and you live in Florida or something like that, understand the cost to bring speakers in. And sometimes you can kind of usurp other speakers. And if you've got enough depth of knowledge, you can get the whole thing. Also, pre and post events, you got to get that into your contract. Don't after you sign a contract, come and say, "Oh, hey, this, that, and the other." Also, one of the things that I've used, my book, Member ROI, because I printed it $2 and I sell it at 50. I've had situations where people say, "Well, we don't have a speaking budget." I said, "Do you have a book budget?" "Yeah, we can buy books." "Okay, buy 200 books and I'll come and speak for free." "How much are your books?" "Well, they're $50 a piece, but we have a discounted for buying this amount. Every case you buy, the price goes down, So it's like, that's fine with me. I make enough money on the book so I can do that. But on the in-kind, I mentioned this earlier, you can ask for their membership. You can ask for LinkedIn recommendations. You can ask them to do e-blasts to their members. You can ask them to do video testimonials. I mean, there is so much that you can get in the contract. If it's in the contract, they feel obligated. One time I had Roland, Roland, the company that makes keyboards and everything for musicians. I had spoken for him, and the PR gal or the HR gal goes, I like an hour into the program, I see all these guys wearing these denim shirts. I'm like, "Oh, those are cool." I said, "Hey, if I do a good job today, can I get a denim shirt?" And then they gave me a denim shirt. And the gal that hired me, she says, "You really should have held out for a leather jacket." So the next time she hired me, I put in the contract, I get a leather jacket. And at the end of my talk, she goes, "Do you really want a leather jacket?" I said, "It's in the contract." She goes, "Okay." I walked away with a leather jacket, a really cool leather Roland jacket. So put it in the contract. Pre-negotiation is, or pre-contract is negotiating, post-contract is begging. Okay, let's talk about how do we find associations. So everybody's interested in free. I talked about the public library. In addition to the NTPA, National Trade and Professional Association directory, there's the Encyclopedia of Associations, and they have both the national and the regional. So, if you go to a larger public library in the reference section and they don't have one, ask about if they have any others. I mean, if you asked about the NTPA and they don't have it, well, don't leave. Ask them if they have any other directories of associations.
Hey,
So
Ed, we got a question. Got a question from I'm sorry. Yeah, it's from Ginger. I got to scroll back up. Give me a second.
Wait a minute. Ginger's already had 57 questions.
Well, it's okay. I think her quota is 104.
Okay.
So some associations will say yes to membership or attendees lists. Sorry, somebody's typing and it's scrolling it up for me. And some do not, citing GDPR. Do you have any suggestions or how do you help them provide a list if they're reticent? She says she asking and guarantee to respect it, not spam them.
Well, you know, it's there's a lot of different approaches. Like last summer, the Cigar Peg bought a booth at ASAE, American Society of Association Executives, to promote the Virtual Speakers Hall of Fame. And in buying the booth, we were given a email list that we were allowed to use once before the conference and once after the conference of people that said, yeah, okay, you can contact us. So there are, you know, the larger organizations will usually ask if you mind being contacted, and then do you want to be contacted versus via email or versus U.S. Postal Service. So, you know, that it's a touchy thing, but I will just say this, I'm going to be very, very careful how I'm going to say it, and you can read in between the lines. If I get membership to an association, I have access to the membership directory. I have access to the membership directory, and that's all I'm going to say. So there's a lot of ways. Be clear. I think, as a matter of fact, this summer, the fact that Aiden and I bought a booth at NSA and we're paying to have NSA hand out our book, we get a list of speakers that agreed to be communicated. So there are a number of organizations that do give lists, and it's usually of people that said, yeah, it's okay. I'd be happy to be communicated by vendors. So just ask. Okay. Also, this is a cool one. Directoryofassociations.com. It's not robust, but it's kind of good. And if you're a little bit newer at this and you're just getting going and you're too lazy to go to the public library, this can be something that can be very helpful. And you see, you can search by state, by category, by type, by size. And you're not going to get the robustness that you're going to get from the NTPA, or if you get their online directory, because you got a lot more. But it's pretty darn good. It's pretty darn good. So in this one, I just put in about the states, click the state, it hit Georgia, came up with 849. Okay, that's not bad. And most of them, you've got a link to their website. So the very bottom one, Acoustical Society of America, Georgia chapter is an example. Yeah, they'll probably publish your articles. Yeah, they probably have a meeting. You can go to their website and look and find out really quick, really easily. You can use Google autofill. That's always a good one. So type in, as an example, manufacturing associations, and then Google's going to give you a whole bunch. It's going to, which one? Unfortunately for that, either you got to do a screen capture or you got to hand write it down manually. But, you know, that gives you some information also. And again, that's free. The association execs, this website just changed just a week or two ago. So if you go to associationexecs.com, it's going to be a different URL. It's going to pop up, but it's the same thing. So again, this content has swapped hands, but you can dig it out and you can buy from them. So you can buy the directory, and they used to have the CD, but I don't know if they have the CD anymore. But probably the best deal, you can, as I said, the directory, but here's the best deal. If you're a member of the National Speakers Association, I can't see what the number is underneath because my Zoom bar is blocking it. So somebody can tell me what
$349 a year.
There you go. And the thing is, think about this. Here's something to remember. If you pay $349, you have all the digital access, but for how long? 1 year. You pay $300 even for the newest hard copy directory. You have it for how long? Forever. So, you know, it's something you might want to consider.
And just to,
Yeah,
I don't know the exact number, but I think without NSA, that's like close to $1,000 is what they charge.
Yeah. So it's a good deal. It's a good deal. As I think Dave brought this up earlier, Dave's been in enough of my presentations to know that, you know, go to eBay, go to Amazon, search, and you might get lucky and find a used copy. I will tell you, even if the copy's 10 years old, it's going to be 80% good, and 80% good's okay. You know, it'll give you enough of what you need. You'll be missing a couple associations, but not that much. So, you know, if you find one, great. But just as well, go to the public library, take your phone, take a picture, bingo, you're done. I mean, when I first started doing this, I had to take quarters and use the photocopier. We didn't have smartphones back then. Here's just some listing of some various prices on some of the books. Okay, let me tell you what an association management company is. And this is probably really good for you to know, because sometimes, you know, all of a sudden you start looking at different association websites and you start noticing a bunch of them have the same address. And that's because it's an association management company. Now, if you want to learn about association management companies, you can go to the AMC Institute. If I'm not mistaken, it's amcinstitute.com or org, one of the two. And you can go to find an AMC, and you can look at their list, and you can find the various AMCs. But a lot of association management companies, they'll manage a number of associations. Some do it industry specific, some do it geographically specific, some do it across the board. Now, you can do some searching at the AMC Institute website, which will give you an opportunity to go after the AMCs. And the interesting thing is, if you plug into an association management company, a lot of times there might be one person that's involved with all of the meetings, or 10 or 15 of their meetings. So it's a good way to leverage even further. Smith Buckland is an association management company in Chicago, very, very large one. They have over 300 associations that they manage. They used to do lunch and learns. I don't know if they started doing them yet again, but it's a great place to plug in. Also, if you want to speak internationally, Kellen is a huge association management company out of Atlanta. They've got offices all around the world. And, you know, if you want to go travel and let other people pay for you to travel, plugging into Kellen is not a bad idea. It would probably help you. Here, let me just go back here. Screenshot, Smith Buckland, do your screenshot. Okay, there you got a chance. Move on. Kellen, screenshot Kellen. All righty. So I could talk for hours on AMCs, but I just wanted to just touch on it briefly to make sure you knew about it. Then we've got association executive councils within industries. So let's talk about association executives. They either work for an association management company, an AMC, or they're a paid staff of an association, one or the other. If they are, if they work for an AMC, they're usually called account executives. But for that association, they may have the title of the executive director. And they hang around at association executive councils within industries, at Society of Association Executives within their state, or at national, ASAE, American Society of Association Executives, or like CSAE, Canadian Society of Association Executives. So in understanding these folks, you know, the chief staff executive is the top paid person. Their titles include CEO, executive director, executive vice president, administrator, president. The chief elected officer, CEO, that really gets confusing. They're usually going to be either president or chair. That's going to generally be their titles for the chief elected officer. And sometimes it'll be the chief elected officer that selects speakers, but more times than not, it's going to be the paid staff. And when I talked about how do we dig in, if you want to go geographically, this is the website for SAE, California Society of Association Executives. Go to their website, go noodle around, see about getting on their program, see about, they do some Southern California programs. Most of their programs are either in Sacramento, or their annual conference, moves around Northern California, Southern California, and so forth and so on. But, you know, if you can speak to the societies of association executives, you've probably got, if it's a breakout, you probably have 50 association executives that can hire you in your session. If it's a keynote, it can probably be 200 to 300. So this is a great place to play. It's not within the laser focus, it's within the scattered strategy, but that's okay. And then they're all over, the big ones across the country: Texas, SAE, Georgia's a smaller one, Florida, SAE is a bigger one. And, you know, what I tell people is start with the SAEs closest to you geographically and work your way out.
And these are usually free gigs, correct, Ed? They don't pay.
No, you know something? I did a workshop for Florida SAE. We co-partnered and we split the gate. I did exactly the same thing for Georgia SAE. Texas SAE, I can't remember if they paid me or not. Cal SAE, I didn't get paid. New England SAE, they paid me to do the keynote. It's all, Dave, it's all over the place. Some pay, some don't.
Just like every association.
Yeah, it's all over the place. Now, you can find the SAEs, just do a Google search for Society of Association Executives. Also, the state societies of association executives, they've got their own alliance. And here's their website. Conveniently, you might want to do a screen capture really quick. If you got to speak at one of their meetings, then you wouldn't get paid, but you're speaking in front of like 50 or 40 state society of association executives that can bring you into their meetings, and all of their members can hire you. So it's definitely worth your time. Here's the key. If you speak for a society of association executives, it's kind of a little bit of a self-select, meaning they're going to select you based on they want you. And that's the scattered strategy. It's not where you're going deep in a particular industry, but it's okay. But if you're going to speak, have a strategy. So my strategy, if I speak for an SAE, whether I get paid or not, I've got a list of questions. And the way I get, let me go back up. You can do, I mean, there's Talkadot, there's Mobit, there's a whole bunch of services out there where you can capture names. I'm old. I do it the analog way. I start going, I just start spitting out stuff, and I'm giving them content, and I'm waiting till I'm watching till they're feverishly writing. And then I go, oh, I'm sorry. I played dumb farmer ago. Oh, sorry. Hey, let me do you guys a favor so you don't have to write so much. If anybody wants the PowerPoint, the pictures, it's going to be too big of a file to send you with pictures, but I'll strip the pictures out, just send you the content. If you want my PowerPoint content, just drop a card off at the end, write PowerPoint, and I'll get it to you tonight or tomorrow. And I do. And I kind of figure that gives me the right to call them. At least that's my perspective. I don't know what your perspective is, but that's my perspective. So I call them. I wait a couple of weeks and I call them. Everybody that gave me a card, I call them. I go, how have you used the information from my workshop? That's a pretty benign question. It's not threatening at all. They usually answer it. I ask them, because I always talk about my article bank. I say, hey, have you grabbed articles from my article bank? Again, pretty benign, not threatening. They usually answer it. I, say, hey, did you get around to joining my member ROI group yet? And, again, so these three questions are designed to break down their resistance, to get them to relax, to get their guard down. Because when I get to this question, is there a possibility we might do business in the next term? Now we're getting down to brass tacks. I want to talk to them about doing some business, but you never lead with that question. And then depending on how that question goes, depends on how I do or don't ask this question for additional recommendations. But I would tell you, you might want to screen capture this slide. I would tell you, you really want to have a strategy, whether you're paid or not paid. My strategy, if I'm going to get into these SAEs, and I've spoken to a lot of them, is how do I get their information? And we all can choose different ways to do it. How can I then leverage that? Also, a lot of these SAEs, they'll have an expo, they'll have a booth, that state SAE will have a booth. And a lot of times the member directory is going to be, they're going to have a bunch of hard copy member directories. Well, as I walk by, I just grab one. I'm not going to tell you what I do with it. I'm just going to tell you I grab one. So I'll let that be up to your own imagination. So have a strategy. Have a strategy. And then if we want to go against that, when I talk about that laser focus way, so industry targeted, industry specific, and association specific. Let me talk about this. So if you're a member of the association and speaker society community, in the download section, I have a list of all the state SAEs. You can just go download them. You don't even have to look them up. And there it is. You can screen capture that and get at least the first few. But so we've got the state SAEs, but there's also SAEs, again, Society of Association Executives, that are industry specific. So there's a bunch of them. This is an example. So association executives that are in engineering societies, these association executives will belong to American Association of Engineering Societies. They all get together, they have the same interests. So if you were involved with this is something I've mentioned to Corrine. She should go follow up on this one. Too bad she's not on the call today. Oh well, somebody can tell her about it. This allows you to go deep in an industry. This is another one, STEM society professionals. So this is associations that relate to STEM, which is, what is it? Science, technology, what's the E for?
Engineering and math.
Engineering and math, yeah, thank you. Yeah, my son's an engineer and I couldn't remember engineering.
Yeah, Brandon has a question for you. He wants to know if you could think of any society associations that are related to mental health.
This one maybe a little bit. This is American Association of Medical Society Executives, AMSI. These are medical society executives from soup to nuts. And it might be California Podiatry Society, it might be California Medical Association, it might be this, it might be that. I spoke at their summer meeting a couple of years ago, and I didn't get paid, but I got them to run a series of articles. They gave me a year membership, which gave me access to their membership list. Wink, wink, wink. And they did a few other things for me. I can't remember what it was. And I met a few people that I leveraged that. So I don't know of any society for just mental health, but American Association of Medical Societies would probably be the closest. Then we've got Food Industry Association executives, the same kind of a thing. So it's all executives that run food industry associations. They all come together. Then what do we have? There's the National Restaurant Association. Well, but all the state restaurant associations, their executive directors belong to the Council of State Restaurant Associations. And if you go to their directory, you can see all the different state associations, and it's got, contact information. And then we've got International Society of Hotel Associations. So all kinds of different hotel associations. Like I spoke at the Hispanic meeting planners, Hispanic meeting planners, whatever. Well, one of the associations was Hispanic meeting hotel owners. Okay, so they probably belong to this. And so there's whatever industry, you got to go dig because you don't always find them. This one is National Alliance of State Pharmacy Associations. And you go to their directory and you're finding all the people that are running the state pharmacy associations. Osteopathic, same type of thing. You look at their board of directors. These are all the folks that are running the various state associations. State retail associations, same thing. And I forgot the CPA associations. And then you've got federations out there. And one of the best known ones, the Farm Federation. So they put on a meeting every summer where all the farm federations from all around the country, or all the farm bureaus, not farm, the Farm Federation is the national umbrella, and it's the federation, and they're all loosely connected, but they're independent. So all the farm bureaus come, and like I spoke to all the people that were the leaders of all the various farm bureaus around the country, and they paid me. They paid me full fee. So I mean, there's federations out there also that can take you deeper into an industry. You just need to know about all these, because when it allows you to more easily try to discover them and to actually discover them. And, if you go to the Farm Federation website, you can click, and there's a number of bureaus in each state, and you can just click on it. Okay, I got to speed this up because I'm running out of time and I still got a ton of stuff to get you. But if I don't get it all to you, oh well. Now, let me put all this in here. So I said earlier, if you go deep in an industry, you're going to look at the website for the national industry, and then you're going to go to the chapters. You're going to try to find affiliates. When you're in the chapter websites, you're going to try to find the national and their affiliates. And the thing is, also, when you're digging around in these websites, too many speakers only look for the annual conference. And there's a gal that was in our community. She watched the video. She went to the American Bankers Association. They booked her for a women's conference. And we're on the line. I said, well, hey, let's go back to their website and go, look at here. There's 10 other conferences. Also, there's 50 chapters. You got a little bit more work to do, girl. There's a lot more than just that one speech. So I think it's really important that we don't forget about, is there an association executive council that you can get into, and how many meetings, and does the same person, like a lot of times the webinars and the annual events might be the director of education, or the annual meeting might be the director of meetings or director of conventions. So there, in a number of the bigger associations, there will be more than one decision maker, depending on what kind of meeting. Okay, so trucking association. The reason I bring up the trucking association, what is the first line? The first line is the Trucking Association Executives Council. So the Trucking Association, all the things they do, they also have a council of all the state Trucking Association executive directors get together. I've spoken at a lot of these kinds of events. They're really, really good to speak at, and they always pay. Let's see, National Park Association. Keep digging about. Sometimes what happens is when you go to a website, you don't see much, and then you have to scroll down to get the real stuff. And then all of a sudden you start finding links to more information. So don't, when you land on a page and you don't see much, always scroll down. And this will give you the staff information. I mean, it's pretty easy. A lot of times it's in the about, the navigation in the about, but keep scrolling down. And look at here, we found state affiliates. Just do a little bit of digging. And all of a sudden, because not only is the national association have one or more meetings that you could be paid to speak at, now we got to start looking at, what about the state affiliates? Do they have an annual meeting? Do they have other meetings? Do they do education? Do they do webinars? There's a lot there that you could possibly get paid for your intellectual property. At the National Association of College Stores, I like to show this example because if you look up there on the menu to the left, it was under people and groups is where I found the state and regional associations. So sometimes they kind of hide it in nondescript places. You just have to be, you got to nose around. You just, nose around. About staff directory. Okay, that's pretty easy. Staff directory. Well, there we go. Now we can find all the people. This one happens to have their phone numbers, their emails. Let's say you call them. Let's say you can't get anywhere with a phone call. You mention on the phone call, hey, I'll follow up with an email, and then send a very customized email. No reason you can't do both. It's okay. There's no rule against it. National Association of Manufacturers. This is a very large national umbrella organization. Most of the manufacturing associations in the country belong to it. So you see I've got circled under About. The pull down menu shows you staff. You can find who the people are. You can find their directories. And here's the cool thing. When you finally find the members of the National Association of Manufacturers, it's all manufacturing associations, and they're all hyperlinked to their website. So you get to this, and all of a sudden, the point I wanted to make, depending on what industry you're going, you may go down a rabbit hole, and it may take you a long time to get through all the potential clients, prospects that you can go after. NAW is the next level down, National Association of Wholesale Distributors. Now, both of these groups have association executive councils where all the various executive directors get together and have their special meeting. So, you want to start understanding who these people are, the size and the scope of their meetings, the number of meetings they have, their budgets. The executive director of the NAW, I think he gets paid about $700,000 a year income. So it's not a low pay job. I know the National Association of Manufacturers, the executive director, his pay is around the same. So, these are substantial organizations. Same thing with the NAW. You notice, look at here, all their member associations are distribution associations. And you can see there, they've got their websites. So again, depending on where you want to go, how deep you want to go, if you want to go, stay in one lane, some of these bigger organizations make it really, really easy for you. NECA, National Electrical Contractors, these are the larger electrical contractors that are all union houses. I've spoken at their conference a few times. They always pay. You can see in here, find a local chapter under Connect. And sometimes you have to scroll down. Here's more information on how to find the chapters. Down at the very bottom of the page, I found chapter staff and national staff. I'm only throwing this out quickly, just noodle around the website, noodle around the website, noodle around the website. If you want to go deep in an industry, here's an example. Okay, so the National Association of Oil and Electrical and Energy, Service Professionals. You see on the menu on the left how I've got industry links circled. So you click on that. Okay, who's related to them? Still within the industry. Okay, then I get this. And I always hate it. It's like you look at that, you go, nothing. What did I say earlier? Scroll down. Scroll down. Oh, there they are. It's got, instead of just a listing of the names, it's got their logos. So let's click on Petroleum Marketers Association, go to their website. Well, we go to their website. Wow. I've circled about the association, member associations, and their journal, all the stuff you want to find. There we got the staff. Here we have all the state associations that you can go and try to sell to them. Okay, I'm going to take a quick breath. I've got 15 minutes left before I have to stop. I'm going to change gears and go into talking about the meetings industry. I'm going to take a drink of water. Dave, is there any question that you want me to deal with before we move into a different section? Dave, you're on mute, so if you're talking, I couldn't hear you anyway.
I probably sounded better. I was simply saying that I was so captivated because even though I've heard you, I don't know how many times, and we've had private conversations, as they say, no man ever steps in the same river twice, for the river is not the same, nor is the man. So I'm still taking copious notes and getting something new every time.
You mean
and
I'm stepping in the same thing twice?
well, one of us is. At any rate, I don't think I see any
Okay.
questions that we haven't interrupted you for already.
Okay. So let's talk about the meetings industry a little bit. So here, this is very updated. I just updated this for the book. So these are meetings industry pubs. Some of them are electronic, some of them are hard copy. You might want to do a screenshot on this. And there's been a lot of consolidation in the industry. So if you look under the meetings magazines, they have 3. Under Meetings Net, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Under North Star Meetings, they've got 4. So it used to be these were all separate magazine companies, and there's been a lot of consolidations. Couple reasons you want to get meetings industry magazines or newsletters. Number one, know what's going on in the meetings industry, know what meeting planners are talking about, knowing what their concerns are. Number two, a number of the meetings industry magazines do hosted buyer events. And so let's talk about that. Hosted buyer events like North Star, who has incentive meetings, meetings and conventions, successful meetings. What they do, and a number of these magazines have this, it used to be the way conventions, visitors bureaus, hotels, this, that, and the other would sell. They would have booths. If you go to ASAE convention, that's what they have. They get a bunch of booths. People walk by, they hand out tchotchkes. But a lot of the meetings industry magazines changed something. They created hosted buyer events, which are much more like speed dating. So all the vendors pay a certain amount of money to be at that event. They're guaranteed a certain amount of one-on-one meetings with the buyers. Then the buyers come to this, they're hosted, they're free. I've been to a bunch of these and as a buyer. And so, okay, as a buyer, I have to sit for 10 or 20, one-on-ones. And the thing for speakers that you also want to know is one of the things they do to get the buyers there, in addition to the fact that it's hosted, they put on education. So, and it's continued education for meeting professionals. And so that's where we as speakers can fill in. Now for the North Star, Erin Edelstein is their VP who does the speakers. I did an interview with her a couple months ago. It's in the speaker community, and forgot who. Oh yeah, one of the guys in our community. I forgot who it was. Anyway, somebody in the community listened to her interview, called her up, and got booked to speak at one of these hosted buyer events. And while they don't, sometimes they pay, sometimes they don't. You're speaking to generally 100 to 200 buyers, and half of them are going to be association, half of them are going to be corporate. And they push not only the meeting planners but the vendors to be in the sessions. And so you've got a bunch of people in your audience that can buy you. And so these hosted buyer events are great. And the other thing, most of them, if you're a speaker, they're happy for you to stay for the 2 or 3 days of their meeting, and you want to stay for the 2 or 3 days of the meeting because of all the networking activities. It gives you time to get to know buyers, talk to them, check it up with them, get their business cards, yada, yada, yada. It's called soft selling. And these are really great events to go to. Meetings and conventions. If you look in the navigation, it says blogs, news, resources, careers, events. Same thing for successful meetings. And they've got just a ton of events. Smart Meetings is an independent. Marin Bright runs that. She puts on a number of events too. They're very similar. These are just great things if you can get in as a speaker. Now, I'm going to change gears on here just a little bit. there's two organizations in the meetings industry. There's MPI, Meeting Professionals International, and they've got at their website call for proposals. And a lot of speakers like to get involved with their local MPI chapter. And what I tell them is, why don't you just go burn $100 bills? Because most of the people that are members of MPI aren't decision makers. They're logistics people. They're very nice. They have great meetings. I've spoken at their World Educational Congress a few times, and they put on great parties, but they're not decision makers. So if you want to go play at MPI, go play at MPI, but don't be upset if you don't get anything out of it, because you probably won't. Now, with that being said, here's where you want to go. PCMA, Professional Convention Management Association. I've been paid to speak at their chapters. I've been paid to speak at their national meeting. Most of the people that attend these meetings are decision makers. If you see in the center, it says their Convene magazine. Pretty easy to go up there, fill out the information and get their magazine. I get their magazine. I'm not a member, but I get their magazine. And it's good magazine, really, really good magazine on giving me what's going on in the meetings industry, along with a gazillion other magazines I get. But PCMA, local chapters, and then the national event's always in January. This is worth your time to play there. I want to talk to you just for a couple minutes about articles, because the articles was what I talked about as the relationship bank deposit to make the editors love you, so they'll tell you the truth on who the decision makers are. I'm not going to get into a lot of chat GPT, but I'm just going to say to you, be careful, be careful, be careful. I did a bunch of titles, for my topic, member recruitment. Some of them were okay, but most of them really weren't. I've done search for associations in particular industry. It's about 60% accurate. I did a search for the history of cigar peg. It was about 70% accurate. So, something okay for rough drafts and stuff, but that's it. So I've got a 6-step method for writing articles that editors will like. Number 1, write a title with a benefit hook. Why should I read your article? What's in it for me? How's it going to make my life better? What is the hook? And put the keywords to the front for SEO. Next, the first sentence needs to be the connector. It needs to be the connector from the title to prove that there's promise that this article is what the title says and it's not clickbait. And the first sentence needs to grab their interest. That's going to lead them into what they're going to learn, how this article is going to make their life better. Then you want to do bullet points or numbered points. Now, let me just say, a typical magazine page article is about 700 words. And if you're going to do a 700-word article, I would recommend that you do either 3 bullet points or 5 bullet points. 7 bullet points might be getting too much. Keep it to odd numbers, like 3 or 5. And because visually, when somebody looks at it, they'll see the bullet point bolded, they'll see space, because if you look at a page of just text, your brain freezes and you don't read it. Then the next step is, can you take the bullet points and sloganize it? And when I say sloganize, there's all kinds of ways you can use idioms, family sayings. You can use iterations, having all the first letters the same, and do things rather than say, like if your article's on leadership, rather than the 3 bullet points being communication, courage, and whatever, who cares? What you want to do is, is have something like courage, compassion, and communication equal whatever, but or put something like let's say going to be in an industry, let's just say medical. And one of the bullet points is going to be games doctors play or something like that. Just make it fun. Make it to where when people look at that sloganized point, instead of just a word, they see something that catches their eye and they look at it, because people just scan through. I mean, their magazine comes to their office, they take a quick look. So it's got to be something to grab people's attention. And then you close with, it's okay to offer to give something away. Some associations will publish that offer, some will just cut it out, and it really doesn't matter. But it's a great way to grow your list, your email list. Maybe you want to have the 37 tips for how to be productive. You might want the 17-point checklist on keeping yourself out of jail in human for HR or whatever. And you send them to a landing page on your website, they put in their email address, they get the download. And then a bio. And at the end, the bio at minimum should have your URL. So think about this. When you write an article, everything above the bio is for the reader. Everything the bio and below is for the writer, the author. So do not sell in your article, only educate, enthuse, enlighten, motivate them to do better. And then your bio is where you get to sell you. Okay, I'm going to move this, so if you want to screen capture, grab it. Something that you can do, let me just put this all in. What you can do too is if you start writing articles, just create a file in your computer, my book, and then have about 10 or 12 chapters. And then as you start writing articles, make sure that the articles fit within one of the chapter. Write the article, throw it in the chapter. Come back a year from now, your book is almost going to be written. But have a working title for the book. And then when you put in your bio, put this article is adapted from John Doe's forthcoming book titled ABC. Now, don't worry about if you change your title later, because you can always go back in your website and change the title at the bio. And if there's a few articles out there that got the wrong title, who cares? Nobody cares. So, people like to have articles adapted from books. It's a great way, and using the word forthcoming is something that'll really help you. Getting your articles out, I just tell you, be generous with your parameters for reprinting. I make myself the easiest guy to work with. Editors can grab my articles 24/7. They can edit. I mean, I have the word count next to the title. I talk to editors about if any time somebody in your organization lets you down and doesn't, come through with an article, go to my website. You can grab an article, you can edit, you can make it fit. There's my article bank. I talked to you about that earlier. And here, let me go back. So you go to my article bank, you circle the association growth, and here's all the articles. I make it very easy for them. Make it really, really easy. They click on it, and then the article has the parameters for reprint. Very, very easy. Okay, the last thing I'll say, if you need additional help from me, you can join my speaker community. It's a subscription community. Whatever price you join at is the price you'll always pay as long as you stay a member. You can join for 1 month, take everything and leave. We don't care. Cigar Peg, if you're going to go to Influence, you want to join Cigar Peg, cigarpeg.com/join. And if you want to do a showcase through the Cigar Peg, that gets you in to becoming either a nominee or possibly an inductee into the Virtual Speakers Hall of Fame. And I am pushing this website out to association executives every day. That leads me to any additional questions that I might be able to answer.
Yeah, there was, give me a second to scroll back up.
Sure.
So Jacob asked, when you call the editors for decision makers
Mhm.
and get a voicemail, do you have any suggestions on what kind of message to leave?
Yeah, I said earlier, if you're on the association's website and you've got their phone number and their email, I would say, hey John, let's just say the editor's name is John. Hey John, the reason I called was to make some articles adapted from my book, the ROI of Membership, available to you to help your members. Yada 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 yada. You know something? I will send you a link to where those. I'll send you an email with a link to where those articles are. Hope you find it valuable. And then usually you're going to get some kind of a thank you, for sending the article link, and then send them another email back. Hey, I hope those articles are really, really valuable. Hey, could you do me a favor and just give me, I just quick answer. Could you tell me who the decision maker is for selecting speakers at your meetings? I'd like to introduce myself to them. Don't say you want to sell them anything. Just say you want to introduce yourself to them. And take the longer, slower relationship approach to selling. Don't take the car salesman, bang, 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 twist arm, not let you leave the sales room. It's okay. Take your time. We're going to be in this business a long time. You're going to be a speaker for the next 10, 20, 30 years. Whether they book you this year, next year, or the year after, it's okay. It's okay. Go the long game. I had a gal, her name is Ozzie Jenkins. She called me up and she said, Ed, I want to talk to you about my meeting. And she says, I'm with the National Coalition of Black Meeting Planners. And she kind of hears a pause and I go, okay. She goes, I said, I'm white. Why do you want me? She goes, oh, no, we bring white people into our meetings. I said, okay. I said, she says, we really want you to come into a program on partnering. And we're doing going through the whole thing, get the whole thing booked. And afterwards, I said, Ozzie, what caused you to call me? She says, well, you sent me that booklet on partnering. I said, Ozzie, I sent you that 5 years ago. She says, yeah, I know. I keep everything. So the point I want to make is, even if you don't get the booking this year, keep making the relationship bank deposits for next year, the year after, the year after. Don't burn your bridge. Don't be a jerk. Don't have a temper tantrum if they don't hire you. Just keep making the relationship bank deposits. Whether it's this year, next year, the year after. I mean, you got a good chance of getting hired. Go ahead, Dave. Any other questions?
No, that was it, Ed. That was let's see, last question. Yeah, no, Ginger said she's used up her quota and then she used some of mine as well. So let's, if you could relinquish the screen share, we'll finish up the meeting. Thanks so much. And folks, I want to make sure I'm real clear on this. I started my business and built this business following Ed's advice. When I first got an NSA, I did a bunch of training with other people, but it was listening to Ed that got me getting regular paid talks. And it's still paying off today. So we have an amazing resource. Ed knows what he's talking about, and we're lucky to have him as a member of the. So let's give it up for Ed. Okay, little
Thank you.
jazz hands.
Thank you.
Jazz hands.
Thank you.
All right.
Dave, I'm just letting you know I got to run because I've got to go do a cigar and whiskey review with Winston Churchill. And well, yeah, I mean, does any of you guys know Randy Otto, who impersonates Winston?
I've seen Randy at Influence. The guy is amazing.
Well, so if you go to my my son's YouTube channel, Rigsbee Reviews, there's a review with Winston Churchill from about a year ago. So we're gonna do it again. So I got to go rush off and record that, and it'll be released in a week or so. Hey guys, thanks so much for having me. It's great to see some friendly faces, Liz and Meryl and AJ and some people I've known for a while, and some Jacob, some new faces that hopefully I'll get to know you if the chapter ever starts meeting live again. And I will catch you on the rebound. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Ed. So a couple little items here. So and then we'll close this up. First of all, board nominations are closed. We'll be voting on the new board members coming up. So look for an email with the board slate vote. Get that done before the June meeting, and then we'll install the new board members then. Along with that will be a question about a vote for the name change. Now let's talk about the June meeting. It's going to be great. We're going to be in person. It's our quarterly in-person meeting. While this isn't 100% finalized, it's well into 90% that we are going to be meeting at the Hilton LAX. The cross campus has a conflict there. We've got a great space, and we're also going to be doing the video shoot for the Academy. AJ, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's actually not for the Academy. It's for any member, any person, anyone part of NSA-LA. It's the same thing that we did last year. So it's going to happen after the chapter meeting, and this will be a great opportunity for you to get some fresh content, some fresh video footage. It's going to be the same format as last year. You're going to have 10 minutes, but it's going to be in a different location than last year. So even if you came last year, it would be a great opportunity to get some new fresh footage. And there's going to be details about it coming in an email next week and a sign-up sheet and everything like that. We do have limited spots, but we have a professional videographer coming, the same person who did it last year. You're going to get some great footage. It's going to be a great opportunity. So definitely look out for that email. Demo reel, speaker demo reel. There will not be a teleprompter this year. So if you had the teleprompter last year and you relied on that, there won't be a teleprompter. It was just too much to coordinate.
Yeah, and frankly,
this is included with the Academy membership. So if you are current Academy membership, it is included.
Yeah, I guess that's what I meant when for the Academy. Thank you for clarifying that. And for those of us who are speakers, and this is a lesson I had to learn. You always want new, fresh content. I just refreshed my demo reel, and I'm probably going to be doing this as well, even though it literally just came out like 2 weeks ago, because like my last demo reel, I didn't look anything like that. My content wasn't what I currently do, and it wasn't serving me anymore. So it's great to use for promotional work. It's for your demo reel. There's a lot of different ways that you could go about utilizing it. I highly recommend this. So
let me just say one more thing, Dave. You also are going to get images of you on stage. So you'll get professional photos as well. So that's a great thing to have for your marketing material and whatnot.
Yeah, you leverage it in your social media, your marketing material. I mean, there's just a million ways to do this. The meeting itself is, as I said, it's our annual president's lunch. So past presidents will be there, a lot of great accomplished speakers, as well as we were going to hear from Peter Stark, who is a national board member, as well as a super accomplished speaker. And he's going to be doing his program, giving a report out from the national, as well as doing that. It is going to be a catered lunch. We're still working on the details on there, but it's going to be a really, really great event. So please don't miss it. It's absolutely one of the highlight events of the year.
Is it going to be on Zoom as well?
No, we're not going to be. This is an in-person only event. So we're not going to be doing this on Zoom.
Except for Academy members.
Right.
We're over outside of the.
Right, because it's part of the Academy. It's one of the Academy sessions, so the Academy members will be able to attend, but it's not going to be open in general. And I think, give me 1 second to get back to my content. We talked about that. So unless anybody has any questions or comments for us, this meeting is complete. Thanks, folks. I can't wait to see you all in June in person.